Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron channel. I'm Steve Shaw, Massive Iron Live. Here we are, Friday, April 15th, and moved my office around. I turned the desk around, so hopefully we have a little bit better light. It was super dark. You guys can let me know what you think. Hopefully, I got a new camera set up today, so hopefully you can see me better, you can hear me better, and you can see all that high definition cooties and dog hair and stuff like that. All right, guys. Welcome to Massive Iron Live. Appreciate you joining me. I'm here every Friday at 11 Eastern. So make sure you skip work, put it on your calendar. You don't want to go anywhere. And join me every Friday. Now, before we dive in, a few things to note. If your questions do not go through, it's not me ignoring you. It's not me ignoring you. It is the YouTubes. The YouTube's not working. So you can either try to shorten your question, reword your question, or you can head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman, and slide into my DM with your questions. All right, slide into my DM. Let me put the ticker up. If your question's not going through, you can hit me up on Instagram, slide into my DM, send your question. I will try to get to it. I don't get to every one before we're done, unfortunately. That's just the way it goes. So how's everybody doing today? Let me know where you're tuning in from. Last week we had something weird happen. We had something weird. I've never had this happen before in years of doing live videos, but somewhere along the line, like the feed dropped from like 75 to 25 in a minute. YouTube can mess with live videos a lot, directly or indirectly. It's just kind of an odd platform. So if any of you got dropped last week, I sincerely, I'm sorry for that. No. Let me get this banner off here, right? So you don't drive you crazy. Now, I put this up, and I've been doing this every week for about 3 weeks now. Post a question before live starts for a chance to win either a t-shirt or a massive membership. So I keep it this way. So you get I'm making a choice this week. It had been the t-shirt, but I want to start giving away the option of a team massive membership. All right. So I'll be reading the questions that go through 11, and then the best I will just decide who wins. So let me dive in. Before I dive in, guys, please check out my website, superlivingtoday.com. If you want coaching starts at only $80 a month. It's super competitive rates. Coaching is what I do for a living, and my rates are, in some cases, half the price of other coaches. I keep a pretty full roster, but on any given week, usually I have one person that is moving on, that's changing jobs, that's moving to a different, financial scenario in their life. So I usually always have room to pick up one or two folks, and I usually keep it that way. So if you're interested, coaching is not just checking in weekly. It is, excuse me, my asthma is bothering me today. Coaching is not just checking in weekly. I check in every single day via my private app. Once you sign up, we will set up a time to talk for about 30 minutes. We'll go over goals. I don't do anything cookie cutter. Everything is custom. Most of my clients stay on for 6 months. I've had some on for about 4 years now. So check that out. If you want to be a member of Team Massive, head over there as well. You can also head over to superlivingtoday.com, pick up my bulking book, pick up a workout, just poke around. This is what I do for a living, and I appreciate your guys' support. All right, enough commercials. Pop, go Giants. He's talking about baseball. Baseball is my sport. I got a TV right there. You can't see it. and keep on an MLB game when I'm doing client work. 3 days grace. Should I worry about gut microbiome? Well, a very good question. There's a lot of interesting science out there about the gut microbiome and the brain gut barrier and all sorts of things. What we put in our stomach seems to matter, and I wouldn't be worried about it when it comes to healthy food, normal food. But if you're putting a lot of junk in your system, then I would be worried. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm having a lot of sinus issues and allergy issues today. If you're putting a lot of junk in your system, I would worry. You ever wake up the next day after eating junk and just feel like hungover and feel like crap? Well, obviously, that's not just from your gut. That is also from messing with your bloodstream, having too much sodium, too much sugar, that sort of thing. So, excuse me, wow. My asthma is really bad. My sinuses are really bad today. My nose is blocked up. I'm not sure what's going on. Having a hard time. I have quite bad asthma, quite bad sinuses, and usually they don't bother me like this, but they're really killing me today. So no, you shouldn't really worry about it if you're eating rather normally. If you're eating a lot of crap, that's not the best thing, but that's not just the best thing for your gut microbiome. It's not the best thing for your health. Paladin, how do you know if you are overtraining? Overtraining is like a fantasy world. Like it's almost impossible to overtrain. So this topic has come up so many times over the years, and it's just something we all need to forget about. It's very difficult to overtrain. Now, you can get to the point where you're overreaching, where you need a little bit of a day of rest. That's normal. That can come from, feeling a little bit too sore, or after 2 hard days of training, I sometimes wake up and feel like I feel a little bit sleepy, right? I feel a little bit off, need a rest day. That's not overtraining. That's just a result of hard training. So forget the concept of overtraining. It's just generally not something anybody will ever achieve and nothing you need to worry about. Undertraining, look, the main question here is the sweet spot in terms of volume. That's something you have to adjust. You have to be working your sets hard and probably start with 8 to 10 sets per workout, per major body part, excuse me, not per workout. And then adjust based on the exercise. Like, for example, if you're doing 3 supersets of dips and push-ups and it seems like too much, just too taxing, and you want to save some energy for another exercise, then reduce it to 2. If you're doing 3 sets of 6 on barbell rows and you're working hard, you can add a 4th set. So don't worry about overtraining and undertraining. Worry about evolving your training and working hard. What are you feeling in the gym? Where can you add a set? Where do you need to remove a set? Etc. 3 days grace. Do artificial sweeteners increase appetite? There's a lot of hype and negativity in the artificial sweetener world, right? Do they increase appetite? Well, you will hear some folks make the claim that they move the insulin needle a little bit. Well, I hate to break the news to you, but nearly everything you put in your body moves the insulin needle a little bit, including protein. So the argument you might hear, and this is not the only one, is that if you use an artificial sweetener, it moves the insulin needle a little bit, and then all of a sudden you'll get hungry. It's not going to be the same as the roller coaster you get from eating shit food all day long, excuse my French. Eating white sugar, white flour, seed oils, processed food, fast food. It's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. Generally, unless you're hypersensitive, and everybody is different, right? Sorry, my little light blocker just fell down. Everybody is different. So there might be some oddball cases where you're hypersensitive to things like artificial sweeteners. We can't rule that out, being intelligent individuals, that we are. We can't rule out that possibility, that some people are hypersensitive. And if you feel, even maybe it's a placebo, but if you feel like it's increasing your appetite, then maybe pull back on it. I mean, let's be real here. Artificial sweeteners are usually found in things that we need to moderate anyway. If it's in a drink, fine. You want to spice up the sugar in your drink, or drink a Monster or a Diet Coke. A little bit each day is fine, you know, but it's not generally going to increase your appetite unless you're super hyper sensitive. Mickey Chan, happy Easter. Same to you, Mickey. I'm going to be cruising off to Indianapolis this weekend with my wife. We're just going to be poking around with the dogs, getting some rest. How to reduce nausea feeling on leg day, running just 6 sets of quads, but the sick feeling stops me from my training. That's not normal. So I would need to know a little bit more information. What are you doing in the gym? What does your training look like? Here's the big question, Mickey, and I need to know this first. When are you eating last before your leg workout, and what are you eating? How many calories and what types of foods? Because I have to rule that out. You could be eating a large sum of food, and when you go into the gym and you're lifting, your body has to decide whether it wants to digest the food or use the blood for the muscles, and it's going to choose the muscles, right? Because you're killing it. So if you have a lot of food in your stomach, that can leave you sick. That's a common issue with runners. So answer that question for me first, Mickey, and we'll kind of get this figured out. Now, before I continue, just want to say, if you're new here, don't be shy. Post up a question. There are no dumb questions. There are only stupid questions, awkward questions, and really weird questions. You can post off-topic stuff if you don't just want to talk lifting. I'll post up questions on whatever you want: diet, training, nutrition, running, extreme acts of aggression in the gym, whatever you want, movies, books, whatever. Stuff other people on YouTube talking about. What are you watching right now on YouTube? Right? What are you watching on YouTube? What's the best video you've seen this week, and what's the strangest video you've seen this week? I'd be curious to know. Stein, happy Friday. Happy Friday, Stein. Richard Murray, hello, folks. Have a great weekend. Join Team Massive. Thanks, Richard. I appreciate it. And head over to superlivingtoday.com. There's a Team Massive button. If you sign up, it's a one-time fee, but you're there for life, or as long as Team Massive exists, or as long as I exist. I'm not eternal, like Stein. But one of the benefits is you get a gated community. It's troll-free, nice quality community. And you get micro coaching as well. I'll help you with form. I'll help you directly with your questions. You can come each day with a question. I try to stay on top of things daily. So join Team Massive. Brendan, can I do bench press, dumbbell bench, and overhead press in the same workout as a natty? Of course you can. I'm not laughing at you. But look, natties are not super fragile little China dolls. Good grief, I've done more than that. Absolutely you can. Taking PEDs doesn't make you superhuman, as far as your ability to handle compound movements. So I'm not bashing on you, Brendan. Sorry. I'm just more, the concept that natties need to get strong, and natties need to challenge themselves. And yeah, you can absolutely do that. I have clients doing big movements like that in a single workout. 3 days grace. What supplements do you take? Currently, this. That's it. I'm not really taking creatine right now. I got in a spell for about 3 months where I got sick, and then I was sick for 3 weeks, and I got better for 2 weeks, and then I went on the rain. I got COVID, and I was down for quite a while. So I had 3 months where I really wasn't training at all, because of being very sick. So I really wasn't taking anything. So right now my training is back on track, and I'll probably get back in the groove. But creatine's mainly what I take. I have a pre-workout that I'll take when I'm a little bit flat. But basically, that's about it. Vitamin D, vitamin B12, and I will take a multivitamin just as a backup plan. Hey everyone, my first live being a part of Team Massive Money Well Spent. Thank you. I appreciate that. I sincerely do. Thank you for joining. Woodulus, another Scottish sexy commenter. What's the one fitness question you've been asked? Never been asked, but should have. Wow, this is a good question. What's the one fitness question you've never been asked, but should have been asked? I don't know, man. I got to think on that. What's something that people don't ask about enough? I think yesterday's video, even though I kind of framed it, with the silliness of having your balls bigger than your bullshit, the underlying message in that video, being that you can have everything in place, your training, your nutrition, your exercise form, your exercise selection, your consistency, you can have all that stuff in place and still not see good results. So the question in that mix is why? Hey, I got everything in place. I got everything optimal, but I'm not seeing results. Why? Because you don't live it, you don't breathe it, you don't attack. You can have everything in place. Those who live it and breathe it, they can't stop. It's like, they just go after it. So I wouldn't say this, just speaking off the cuff, that's an important question. Why, big, hairy, ugly dude, do I have everything in place? My nutrition, my workouts, my exercise selection, my consistency. Why am I not seeing results? Because, maybe 1% of those that have everything in place are going to see results, because the magic land of hard work and the magic land of insane drive and wanting it like you want nothing else and going after it like nothing else. That's so important. Big Josh Benware, how come I rarely see the more developed using flat bench press? Josh, I don't know. Everybody I've ever seen that's very developed uses flat bench, especially natties. I've trained with a lot of pros that use flat bench, pro bodybuilders, IFBBs. I've talked to a lot of them, interview them. It's actually the opposite. I've never met anybody that hasn't had that as a staple. So, how come I rarely see the more developed? I don't know who you're referring to be honest, but everybody I've ever seen has relied on the flat bench heavily. Some people have moved past it as they get into their training. Like some lifters might move on to a dumbbell bench or an incline bench, but you still need big compounds. So it's actually quite the opposite. And MG254 just says your. I'm not sure what you're referencing. Olympic grade lurker. What's the one food you may splurge on over Easter weekend? I'm not going to splurge on anything this weekend. My weight is at the lightest it's been in the last 9 weeks. Now you're like, ooh, whoop-de-doo, right? Ooh, whoop-de-doo. Right. Oh, yeah. Well, when I was sick, I won't lie. When I am sick, I'm a big baby. I eat more than normal. I'm a comfort food guy. And the 3 months I was sick, I put on about 10 pounds or so. So I'm actually lighter than I've been in 9 weeks. I want to keep the weight loss moving. So I'm not going to splurge on anything. But when I do splurge, what do I splurge on? Number one is beer. I love beer. And I don't, when I want to lose weight, I just try to avoid the beer. What else do I like to eat? Sea salt caramel ice cream, cookies and cream ice cream, um, flaming hot Cheetos, right? Like those. I like nachos. I like chips and salsa. That's usually what I splurge on. Pizza as well. Tonight we'll be having sushi. Sushi is my Friday night delight, right? A lot of people on my Instagram will see, they'll be like, "Hey, you eat a lot of you don't eat many carbs." Well, I do eat carbs 2, 3 times a night, or 2, 3 times a week. Like rice. One time is sushi Friday night. Friday morning, I also have a splurge where I have a big 100, protein bar. So I'm not anti-carb. I just try to reduce it. Spas. Who are your greatest influences when you started lifting? There are two major influences. Number one, I went to New Mexico Tech, which is the New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology. It's an all science school, basically. The majors, if you've ever seen the movie Contact, where you have the very large array of the satellite dishes, that's where I went to college, basically, to study astrophysics. And I had an English professor, Dr. Michael Gilbertson, who was also a bodybuilder. I never met a real bodybuilder in life, and it was a small gym. And usually, Dr. Mike and I were, it was a school of only 850 people or so. And Dr. Mike and I were down there a lot, and he taught me a lot of things about lifting in 1986 and 1987 that hold up scientifically today. He used to tell me to use a variety of exercises and a variety of rep ranges. He used to encourage me to push sets for maximum safe reps. He taught me a squat tip about locking out, like when you're coming up, make sure to drive your hips forward. I still pass it along to folks today. So Dr. Mike is my greatest influence and my mentor. Unfortunately, when I left New Mexico Tech, I have not been able to contact him since. I don't know if he's alive, or Dr. Michael Gilbertson, if he's alive or no longer with us. But I've searched high and low on the school boards and everything to try to find him, to thank him, but haven't been able to, which is unfortunate. Outside of that, Tom Platz, I've always been a counterculture type of guy. Whichever way the popular culture is going, I try to head the opposite way because I feel safer that way. So while everyone was building their bicepticons and their chesticles, I was kind of, like Tom Platz. Dude's building those big, massive quadriceps, right? That's what I want to do, and that's been my biggest influence. Now we got Olympic grade lurker. Set looks better. Thanks. I got to kind of still figure out the brightness of this light, but we're getting it down. We're not super professional here at Massive Iron. We're all about the message. Speaking of which, I'm going to take a break, not a commercial break, not a commercial break. I'm going to share something with you guys. Okay. And I want to share this with the guys that are new and the guys that maybe aren't new, that don't know this. Occasionally, I get hate comments like the only reason you're strong is because you got fat, right? I posted my before and after. Let me see if I can pull it up. My before and after last night. And this is actually 100 pounds down. It doesn't look like it, but my gut, I lost a lot of gut and fat on my stomach. So this is actually 100 pounds different. Just doesn't look like it. But I posted kind of the same pose. And anyway, I get hate comments every now and then, and I want to discuss this just for a couple minutes, and we'll get back to questions. So I appreciate you guys hanging tough. Haters, I'll get some haters that'll be like, the only reason you packed on muscle mass is because you got fat. So aren't you a hypocrite? You're basically the line of thought or the train of thought is, the only reason you got big as a natural is by becoming a fat ass and eating all those calories and gaining 150 pounds. And that makes you a hypocrite because you don't know anything about slow bulking or real training. You're just a lard ass that packed on muscle by eating themselves up that way. Nothing could be further from the truth. I started lifting seriously at age 18. Literally at age 19, a year into it, my mentor, Dr. Mike, I walked into the gym one day and he asked me, are you taking anything? And I didn't know what he meant. I was a kid, right? And basically, I was packing on mass so fast, he wondered if I was taking anything. And I went from like 156 to like 170, in that time. And then I ended up at like 185 after 2 years. By the age of 22, I was about 14% body fat, and I was probably about 95% of the size I was now. I was super strong and super lean and super, big for a natty at age 22. By age 29, I hadn't gained much additional size, some, but I was still lean and I was benching 430 at a body weight, probably about 205. That was the strongest I've ever been pound for pound. At that time, I was dumbbell overhead pressing seated 120s for 5, and I was lean, probably 18% body fat. After that, in between that time, I was in the military, where I was super lean with a six pack. It wasn't really till I got married in what year did I get married? Right, 1999 or so, that I started to gain weight. I started to get depressed. I didn't have the healthiest relationship, and I'm not bashing on my ex-wife. It just wasn't a good fit for me. I developed a lot of depression. My weight started to move up, and yeah, I gained some strength during that time. But I've until from 18 to 29, I was big and I was strong and I was lean. So if you look at the 346-pound guy and say the only reason he had muscle is because you ate yourself up, and the only reason you have muscle, you don't know anything about bulking, you don't know anything about training, you're just a fat guy that gained a lot of weight. That's not true at all. All my weight gain came after I had just about every last bit of my potential maxed out. So enough about that, but I wanted to share that with you guys because, man, I'll be 55 this year. I've been around the block, and this isn't my first rodeo. Folks like to hate on people, right, when they don't know the whole story, and that's half the problem with the internet, and just silliness. All righty, Barry A. Barry looking like shredded wheat sickles. How often should I overhead press if I don't bench? Well, Barry, I'd like to know what type of chest pressing you do. You need some chest pressing. You need it for shoulder girdle health and balance, and you need it to, for a balanced physique. So I hope you are at least doing dumbbell benching and some form of machine overhead pressing, maybe dipping. But how often you should overhead press really doesn't depend on what you do for chest. For a major muscle group like shoulders, you probably want to get in 10 to 12 quality sets. 12 is probably what I recommend starting at. Quality sets a week. I would do 3 sets out, a starting point. You can adjust from here. 3 sets of a barbell overhead press, seated standing. I've been doing pin presses a lot lately. 3 sets of seated dumbbell overhead presses. Maybe then you got 6 sets left, like machine overhead presses, side lateral raises, upright rows, things like that. But I would make sure you have 6 sets of overhead presses a week, with 3 of them, at least 3 of them being dumbbell and 3 of them being barbell. Christos, what's your biggest coaching success story? Thank you, sir. Good question. I have had a lot of people lose 100 pounds. A lot. I had 2 and just they didn't lose it all completely with me, but they lost quite a bit with me, and they're clients of mine that reached 100. So I've had quite a few folks lose 100. I had one gentleman lose 160, and then he quit coaching because he thought he was in a good place, and he gained like 240 back. Unfortunately, that shows you the importance of lifestyle change. I think the biggest success story I ever had, one of them was a male and one of them was a female. One of them is Eddie. Eddie was a local guy, and he came to me. 5'6". Eddie was never trained before, didn't know jack squizzucci about proper nutrition, but Eddie did everything I said. And once every 2 months, Eddie would come down and train with me, and we would, work on his form and stuff like that. And in 8 months, Eddie lost 20 pounds while gaining muscle. And he got his squat up to like 315 by 5, his bench up to like 225 by 5. He had never touched a barbell before. But Eddie had this drive, like, I am going to go after it. And if you guys think it's all genetics, that drive to attack means a lot. So Eddie basically went from 210 down to 185, packed on muscle, got super strong, and really good form. So that's one of my big success stories. Female success stories. I had a female lifter, Jasmine, that I got her near 315 pounds on the squat in under 6 months, and close to like 185 by 20 after 4 months. But honestly, beyond that, I would have to say my biggest coaching success story is with Special Olympics. Those guys I had a special bond with. I'm about to swear, so plug the kids' ears, but they gave no fucks at all about limitations. They didn't understand limitations. They just enjoyed the ride. And in 5 months, they got stronger than most people you see on Instagram. Horn Frog, happy Friday. Thank you. All right, we're about 30 minutes in, guys. I'm going to keep rolling on the questions. I will stay on as long as you have questions. I want you, if you have not posted on here before, to post a question right now. Stan, I cured my lower back issues when I moved from stretching to strengthening weak muscles like the psoas. So I don't know. Well, how do you pronounce that word? Psoas? I don't know. It's not a word I've ever heard pronounced in real life. I know what it is, but Orion, I love sweet taters and carrots, but I'm turning orange. Can't help you there, man. Can't help you there. If you can go the full ginger route and then maybe dye your hair orange. But those are two really good foods for micronutrient content. Sienna, I remember when I spoke on the phone with you and you starting up coaching, I was starstruck. Well, I appreciate that. It's a weird thing. I was just talking to my wife about this last night. All I ever wanted to do was do what I love, right? Lifting. And who knew 10, 12 years ago that it would turn into this? So I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that follows me. I'm just here to help, and I just love lifting. So I appreciate it. Big Bill, big hairy ugly dude and Team Massive, for strength standards in regards to hypertrophy, isn't it as much about the process that leads to those numbers? Yeah, and I speak about that all the time. It's not the end result. We're not after 1 rep max strength. And this is something I've discussed endlessly. It's not about, how strong can you get 1 rep max strength. But if you are chasing the process and progressing, the strength standards are where you should probably end up. And what I base that on is basically every big natural I've ever met. KJL94, why is overhead press standing and seated so slow to progress? A very good question. It's a frustrating lift, and one that, look, pressing in general is harder when you when you don't get fat. Let's just call it what it is. The pressing more than anything, I would say, and this isn't a rule, it's just a general thought from what I see in coaching and in real life. Pressing responds to food. So if you were like a 180-pound guy and you want to get your bench as big as possible, and you didn't mind, putting your health at stake, you could eat yourself up to 340 over 5 years and your bench would be ridiculous. That's just the way food works. But, we also don't want to kill ourselves and get diabetes and be foolish and risk our health. Overhead pressing is kind of the same. It's a little bit harder than bench press because you're not quite as strong. So it's just going to happen more slowly, but that really shines a light on why it is important for us to take nutritional consistency seriously. If they're impacting bench and overhead press because you're inconsistent, that's going to impact your chest and shoulder and upper body development. So we aren't just consistency, we aren't just consistent to chase, muscular growth consistency, but also, just consistency in our lift progress. I see it day in and day out with clients. They're just a little bit of dips or spikes and be like, my bench sucked this week. I don't know why. And I'll look at their calories and they were a little bit on the low side. And that's just the way it goes, man. I mean, you dip in your calories, you don't have those glycogen stores, you don't have that full energy reserves. You're a little bit in a down cycle calorie wise, and it will impact your presses. If you are serious about your presses, you need to keep your calories consistent. You need to keep that on that slow bulk train. Big Brett Wild, our chains useful. Yeah, they're useful. Bands I don't really like. Not a big fan of bands. Speaking of bands, there's a park outside my window, and somebody's drumming. All right, move along, son. All right, so chains, yeah. I don't really like bands, right? But chains, I find chains to be useful, and you might find some use in bands. But chains, I find to be very useful, especially but they're really not worth your time until you've built about 80% of your strength levels. You've already built a good strength base, and then introducing variables in your training is not a bad thing. I'm about to go out there and kick a drummer's ass. You know what I'm saying? All right, Mickey Chan, under the same calorie deficit, is there any difference between doing and not doing cardio? Yes. The folks that I work with that do minimal steps and minimal cardio, they will struggle a little bit more to lose weight. Like if I'm working with somebody that is very sedentary or inactive and they don't get a lot of steps, say they're about 3,000 a day, they're gonna really have to crank their calories down to get things moving. Now, if you work out and you are, basically around 6, 7, 8,000 steps a day, cardio is not going to be as important. You'll be able to have a more regulated metabolism, but it's not going to be as important. So it definitely matters. Hold on a second. I'm going to tell my wife to tell the drummer to stop, or there will be violence. How's that? I might just open up my window and yell at him. Here, where are we? Hold on one second. I'll be right back. I'm going to tell the drummer to kick rocks. Well, that ain't going to work. They got a whole band out there. Doing some a church doing some Easter thing. So that wouldn't be a good idea for me to go out there and kick some butt. All right, so yeah, under the same calorie deficit, you want to make sure. Look, if you're trying to lose weight, you want to make sure your steps are at least 5,000 a day. Get them to 7,500 in a perfect world, and then aim for about an hour of cardio a week, general movement, not just for weight loss but for health. Because if you are not doing an hour of movement outside of just general steps a week, and you're not getting in 6,000-7,000 steps a day, you're going to have to eat a lot less. It's not a lot, like, what does that mean? I'm going to have to eat 1,000 calories less? No. But in the world of losing weight, when you're talking about 200 to 400 calories, hunger can be a much bigger issue, right? So you want to make sure you're getting in some general movement. Tony Chen, any advice for bicep tendonitis? Tony, you're in luck. I've talked about this about 7 million times on Instagram and YouTube. Get you some VersaGrip Pros. All the gripping we do on back day and on deadlifts and on RDLs, all the gripping we do leads to elbow tendonitis. Think about this. Golfer's elbow. Why do golfers get tendonitis? Grip, 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 grip. Tennis elbow. Why do tennis players get tendonitis? Grip, grip, grip. Why are you getting tendonitis? Constant gripping. You're doing more gripping than tennis players or golfers. And that goes over the head of a lot in the lifting community. They just don't see it. It's the most common injury I see with my clients. You need to get VersaGrip Pros. And I can't say this enough. I have no affiliation with them. But if there's one thing you spend your money on as a lifter, it's get some damn VersaGrip Pros, because you do not want to deal with brutal elbow tendonitis. And you need to take care of yourself. And you need to, like, how many times have I heard this? I don't want to wear straps. I don't want, let me get my accent on. I don't want to wear straps because I want a good grip. Look, knucklehead. Number one, you don't want to get elbow tendonitis. And number two, if your grip is really that much of a concern, train it after you're done, but put on some straps or VersaGrips. You'll also be able to move more weight. And moving weight is important for back development. DJ B. Tony, I had it in the tricep and bicep. Get elbow sleeves. No, that's not going to cure. That is not going to cure elbow tendonitis. That's not going to help you with grip. That might help keep the area warm. Paul, if you can lift the same weight 10 pounds lighter, do you consider this progress? If you're on a cut and you're holding weight on a lift, I wouldn't really consider it progress. I don't really worry about where strength numbers go on a cut. It doesn't really matter. They're good. Like, no matter who you are, if you're on a cut, you're going to lose some strength unless you're a noob who has never touched weights before. And then you're on a cut, you might build some strength, obviously. Christos, are you going to watch Moon Knight? We watched the first episode last night. I love the actor playing the part. Very interesting character. We got to like the Egypty things, and things went a little bit like, a little bit like, right. So I liked it when the character was going on, but they didn't really, it's kind of moving a little bit slow. Like the second half, why? The whys are lingering too long. We're going to give it another episode. And I really like the character. I hope they keep it up. Oh, here we go. We're back with the drumming again. Maybe somebody can explain to me what Good Friday has to do with drumming. William Baker. Life's way too complicated for me. I bought and started a creeping death this week. Thank you for your support. Fan in the early going. Thank you for the programs. Thank you. And that is the first tool that I've released. I'm going to start releasing some tools that are kind of progression tools, just to give you guys some different ways to think about progression. Naaman, please correct me if I pronounce this wrong. Please make a video on myofibrillar and sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Everything I've done is basically about hypertrophy. You don't really have to worry about any of this stuff, to be honest with you. And here's the thing, like, I'm a big picture guy, and I don't major in the minors, and I don't waste my time in the minors. It's not needed, and this is a discussion that I find boring. And look, if you find interest in it, go for it. Right. I find it boring because it's not needed, to build muscle. You don't have to understand all the nuances of all this stuff to build muscle. It's just understanding is not going to help. You still need to get those big juicy testicles and progress. It's funny, the big juicy testicles thing, right? Just humor. When I left Tiger Fitness, I like when I worked at Tiger Fitness, there was a point where they wanted control over my social media. They did. I'm not bashing them. That's just what they asked me. Can we want control over your social media? I was like, nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm good. But they would want, because I was, it's funny when you work in an industry and then your hobby is in the industry. They were kind of watching my social media. So I had to kind of keep things clean and means. What does this have to do with big juicy testicles? Well, after being with Muscle and Strength and then after being with Tiger Fitness, being on my own, I could finally use a little bit of humor in my videos, right? If you call it humor. So, maybe about 1 out of 50 videos, maybe 3 times a year, I say big juicy testicles, right? And I said it in yesterday's video. And somebody, and I still get a kick out of the homophobes and the gay phobic that exists in the world. They seem to appear on YouTube, right? But some dudes like, all you do is talk about big testicles. Are you a homo? Are you gay? And like, I don't think so. I'll ask my wife. But what does it matter if I am? Right. But you still get those homophobic gay slurs, and but it's funny. Like you mentioned something on here once, twice a year, 3 times a year, and there's always that one guy. D-Dog. Hey, dude, great channel. I love the content. When will my natural physique peak age-wise? Hard to say, man. I mean, I got to my best in my late 40s. And when I say my best, muscle maturity, my pumps got ridiculous. Like the picture I showed you. Let me bring it up again. The picture I showed you guys, and let me share this. Obviously, this is a pump right here. And that's probably, I was at like 22% body fat, but you can see the pump's ridiculous. My arms are maybe 18 and a half they're pumped, or 18 and a quarter pumped. But to answer your question, you should, if you're training hard, it shouldn't take you more than 4 or 5 years to get real close to your natural potential. After that, some bonus good stuff can happen. Hello from Pakistan. How's it going? Appreciate you joining in. Big Sebastian hit a running PR this morning. I can officially run a 7:30-minute mile. Good job. My fastest in the military was only 6:40. I've never been a speed runner, so is what it is. Mickey Chan I got to go back and pick the winner of the shirt or massive iron. So I'm going to do that after this. Hold steady. Stay here. For the nausea problem, I take breakfast. You're speaking in grams. Mickey, I'm sorry, but I'm America. America, we don't think in grams. So I have no concept about how that is. I take breakfast, 120 grams of bacon, 2 eggs and coffee with milk before training. If you take that before training, I would not do that. You don't want any food sitting in your stomach right before training. You should probably eat an hour and a half, 2 hours before training. So I would kind of pull that back and see if that helps. Raphael. Oops, wait. I'm going to come back to Raphael's. Now we have to pick a winner for the T-shirt or Team Massive, and it's got to be 11 o'clock or before because that's when it starts. So what is the best question that we had that wasn't from a Team Massive member? Mickey Chan. Mickey, I am going to give you, are you on Team Massive, Mickey? Are you on Team Massive? If not, I'll give you a t-shirt, but head over to Instagram, Ep and the Barman, Ep and the Barman. Head over to Instagram, Ep and the Barman, and the Ep and the Barman. Slide into my DM. Let me know if you want a t-shirt or a Team Massive membership. I don't always know who's on Team Massive because, everybody uses nicknames, right? So it can really throw me off. All right. Where were we? Got that. I've been weighing my food and counting the calories, and oh boy, some things are not worth eating. Past is way too caloric. Once you are honest with your calorie tracking, some shocking things can appear, right? If you you got to remember this statement: if you bite it, you write it. Don't be the guy that eats 2 pretzels, a sip of a flappuccino, a crappuccino, and doesn't track those calories. Track everything. Be honest. See where they fall. Chris, do you or did you ever find cutting to be difficult? No, I just don't. I don't know why. One thing I do find, Chris, is that from guys that tend to lift hard, they tend to have a higher mental strength and pain threshold. And I hate to create generic, statements like that, but it's pretty true. The folks that come to me that want to lose a little bit of fat, that have a pretty solid lifting background, they do pretty good with cuts. But usually it's the folks that aren't lifting, with no lifting or fitness background, when they try to do a cut, they really struggle. Like, I know I'm using hyperbole here, but it's like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm so starving. I'm going to die. I'm so starving. Like, they are so used to eating crap foods and eating frequently that if you pull them away from that, it's like watching a child have a tantrum in the middle of a grocery store. So everybody has bad days, Chris, where they're hungry. But this week I had a day where I got to 1,350 calories after dinner. And I had some breakfast sausages, all natural, if you're wondering, chicken sausages, 350 calories for breakfast at like 11 o'clock. And then for dinner, I had 2 bisons, New York strip steaks, and 4 eggs, and my calories were only at 1,350. And so I needed some extra calories. I had to actually eat some more because of that food volume. So I don't generally. Blue Knight. If I'm progressively overloading and getting stronger on all the lifts, but my weight isn't changing much, am I recomping? Not really. You need to get that weight moving. You need to get it up to 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a month. You really need to encourage that muscle building with a slight calorie surplus. Big Fred Carter. I lift for quality of life. Should I force in variety even though I'm happy using the same lifts A, B for years? Not really. Do what you like, right? You can anything really works. If you're just lifting for quality of life. The only thing I'll say, Fred, is don't overwork movement patterns. Like, don't be doing 8-9 sets of bench a week, because you run the risk of overworking movement patterns and getting overuse injuries. So that's the only caveat. Big Barry. I do high incline or incline benches as an accessory on push day because I want to press 135. You got to do you still got to get your bench strong. You got to get your chest strong, your triceps strong. Pressing overhead, it has there's a good synergy between benching and overhead pressing. You also want to get your tricepticon strong. So, very honestly, you need to be doing dumbbell bench and a lot. Don't do high inclines, man. You can do high inclines for your shoulders, but not for your chest work. You need to have a low incline at least, and a dumbbell bench, and maybe even dips in the mix, and some heavy, hardcore tricep work. Soy sauce banana. Give us more cool low-calorie snack meal tips. Tried turkey pepperoni last night, and I'm a fan. I just ate some yesterday for the first time in like 2 months. It's only like $3.50 for a pack at your grocery store, And man, it tastes good. You feel guilty like you're eating more. Tomorrow I have a video coming out on Iggy cups, and that'll be released at like 11 p.m. That's another recipe video. Here's what I do at night. Like, I'm a big ice cream eater. I will get 2 or 3 things of Greek yogurt. And I'm sorry that now it's so bright as opposed to being so dark previously. I will get 2 to 3 containers of Greek yogurt, which is like 240 calories and 36 grams of protein. I'll get a big package of frozen berries. Frozen berries. Why do I do frozen? They last longer as opposed to fresh berries. And I will mix in, probably 75 to 100 calories of frozen berries, 240 calories of Greek yogurt, and you're up to close, 325, 350 calories for a snack, high protein, super filling, and it's just a quality choice. And if you guys like deviled eggs, can't get comfy in my chair all of a sudden. If you guys like deviled eggs, boil some eggs or pan fry some eggs, or scramble some eggs, and then add in a container or 2 of plain Greek yogurt, depending on how many eggs you have, some salt, pepper, and some Frank's Red Hot. It tastes awesome. Creamy, super creamy, tastes great. Better than eating plain eggs. If you're a hard-boiled egg eater, you need to try this because it's a game changer. All right, let me get a drink here. All right. Before we dive into the next question, we're about an hour in. Hang tough. Stay here. You don't want to work anyway. If you got a question, get it in now. Just a quick commercial. Head over to superlivingtoday.com. Sign up for coaching. Sign up for Team Massive. Check out my huge selection of workouts. And I have services where I'll build you a workout. I'm actually building a workout for a client right now. I'm trying to finish it today. I also have phone consults if you want to talk on the phone and hash out your goals. All righty. Big Bill Monte, switching to upper lower, or beast and bro, as I call it. I only do 3 sets overhead press a week with 3 sets of laterals and upright rows each. Should I find something to cut for 3 more? Generally on an upper lower, if you're doing uppers twice a week, that's one of the problems with an upper lower. One of the reasons why for upper I do chest, shoulders, and arms, and I do posterior, which is legs and back. So you have room to fit in 6 sets for shoulders each upper session, excuse me. So that's okay, Bill. I mean, upright rows are kind of a tweener exercise. So that's okay. I would like to see dumbbell overhead presses in the mix. Maybe alternate overheads and dumbbell overheads every other week. Or alternate upright rows with dumbbell overheads, and you would be fine. That's what I would do. Recommended glute exercises. Well, RDLs are great for glutes. I do lungeozoids. I don't overwork the glutes. I would say squats aren't something alone that will be the savior of the glutes. I had a really good follower on social media that got into fitness coaching, and basically they went on a rant on Instagram about how if you want big glutes, you just need to simply squat. And I disagreed. I have 37 years of squatting, and all it gave me was pancake ass, so I had to do other things. So I like to start with lunges, and I like to start with Romanian deadlifts are good as well. All right. Sorry, my phone keeps blowing up. Let's do a quick check to make sure nobody is in deep, deep trouble. Nope. All good. What we got going on outside. Chris, I've also been following your advice on rep goals and not doing straight sets. How do you know when you should add a set, though? It's intuitive. Like, how long are your workouts? How are you feeling at the end of your workouts? How balanced are your workouts? Body part to body part, and then some of it's just enjoyment. Everything's balanced. Workout time's not too long. Everything's okay. You're recovering pretty decently. Do you want to try to add a set for an exercise? And go right ahead. Daniel, how do you variate your eggs to avoid palate fatigue? Daniel, I just mentioned something previously about doing the Greek yogurt and Frank's Red Hot. Um, I also will, when I eat black and white rice together, I'll mix in eggs, kind of hide it. Um, Sometimes when I am doing minced meat, I'll just work in a couple of scrambled eggs to hide it. I do eggy cups, which the video is going to be released tomorrow. And sometimes just fried eggs. Fried eggs are really good. I hate boiled eggs. So that's what I do. Do you have any easy, fresh fish recipe? My favorite, and this is going to sound ridiculously simple, is just to take white and black rice and to mix the fish in with soy sauce, salt, and pepper. I like rice and fish, and I believe they work well together. Take some of the fishiness out of it, and soy, and then you add in a little bit of wasabi, and you are, man. Is there anything better than wasabi when you're eating sushi? I'm going to be tearing that up tonight. I'm getting a little bit hungry thinking about it. Rafael de Souza. Okay, when counting calories, do you factor in calories burned? No. Don't go that road. What you need to do when you're worried about losing weight is look at two things. What is the scale doing? And what's my average calorie intake per week? Unless your movement level is all over the place, if it's rather consistent, then just stay in that lane. Consistent could even be week in and week out. Like 2 weeks you're super active, and then 2 weeks you're like a slug, right? Then you might have a difference in what you need calorie wise. But in general, just watch the scale and watch your calorie intake. Daniel, favorite pork recipe? Wow, what do I like for pork? I like pork loin. I'm not sure what it's like in in Europe as far as can you get those big pork loins, but they usually cook pretty well. And I like pork chops just simply with potatoes, fingerling baby potatoes. Toss them in a bowl. You dice them up, toss them in a bowl with a little bit of olive oil and thyme and salt and pepper and maybe a little bit of garlic. Roast those in the oven. Super simple and they taste great. Thyme is like a game changer for potatoes. And usually all I do is have pork chops or pork loin with it. Pork loin for me is a sauce. I usually have some sort of a simple Greek yogurt based sauce with it, but that's the limit for my porky pig. Have you ever used chewing tobacco? Never, never, never once used chewing tobacco. I was in the military at Fort Lee, Virginia. And those of you in Europe probably like, so what? Well, Fort Lee is right by Philip Morris, literally right by it. And Philip Morris is a big tobacco producer in the United States, Marlboro and all that kind of stuff. And when I was in the military, they would give us cartons, not packs. Listen closely, cartons of cigarettes for $3. And we didn't have a lot to do. And, you'd pick up one here and there. What's the big deal, right? You pick up a cigarette here and there. You're out in the field for a week, nothing else to do. No phones, no nothing. You're just staring at grass and trees. So that was really, I would smoke a little in the military. I'm not proud of it, but I was a kid and that's the only thing I really ever did. Other than smoke some weed, some 420 when I was younger and a musician, but that wasn't excessive. Abdul, do you think it's wise incorporating legs into push-pull workouts or continuing to have a separate day for legs? Things can get cramped when you try to get too much into a workout. So if you start cramming things into a workout, you're going to have to start spreading them out a little bit more over, doing more workouts per week. So It really depends on the program, but if you're doing a push and a pull, what I do is my A-B split is chest, shoulders, and arms. And then my B is legs and back. And I find that works out really well. Big Blue Knight, hook grip versus straps in the long run. Look, if you're hook grip is fun to play around with, but if you're just the average lifter, just go with straps. Not even straps, screw straps. They suck. They're hard to get in place. Use Versa grips. Name it. In order to reduce more weight, should I reduce time between sets to make the workout more intense, or should I take as much time as required to perform the next set? I guess I would need to know more. Why are we trying to reduce weight? Um, are you talking about body weight, or are you talking about weights on the bar? Did you run out of weight in your home gym on an exercise? I'd have to know a little bit more to answer, unfortunately. Mako, what's your opinion on full body 5 times a week? I actually have a workout called the Drunk Russian. Now, hold on here a second. Search Drunk Russian Super Living. Let's see if Google can find it. If you search in Google Drunk Russian Super Living, okay, and I'm going to share the screen here. Hold on. There's a program called the Drunk Russian, 5-day-a-week full body workout. I played around with this around 2007, 2008. What I would do is I would squat 5 days or 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. On the middle day, I'd do deadlifts. And on the other days, I would work every body part for 1 or 2 sets, but I would rotate exercises. So on Monday, I might do 2 sets of 5 on bench. On Tuesday, I might do dips. On Wednesday, I might do 2 sets of 10 on incline bench. On Thursday, I might do push-ups. Friday, I might do dumbbell flies. So I messed around with this. I found capping sets at 2 per exercise and rotating exercises was a good call. I felt fine on it. I don't think there's any downside at all when you look at overall weekly volume. If your overall weekly volume per body part is there's no downside. The only logistical issue is how you're going to structure it. And for those curious, head over to my website, superlivingtheday.com, and you go to the little searchy button, which is right here. Just search drunk because it's Friday. Search drunk, and you get the Drunk Russian. Check it out. No downsides. Kyle, branch and MOS. United States Army. I was unit supply. My MOS has changed. It's probably something different, but I was unit supply specialist. Unit supply specialist. Barry, I don't think in grams. It's true. Yeah, I can kilometers. I'm okay because I run in kilometers. But grams, man, grams are like right. So yeah, I can't think in terms of food and grams. Let's see. MG sent a question in your Instagram. Let me pull it up here. Hang tough. And while I'm doing so, if you guys are new, please post up a question. Post up a question. Post up a question. MG, you got to be Mario. Mario said, what lifts do you suggest to work around a possible torn rotator cuff? Mario, that's a tough one. When you have an injury, it's very highly specific. And I'm not being dismissive, but you have to find what exercises work for you without aggravating or making it worse. You're going to have to, try some things, upright rows, side laterals, even the Arnold press, machine overhead press. Really, 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 really hard to say. Daniel's got one as well on Instagram. A good dumbbell row replacement. A good dumbbell row replacement is the Meadows row. And I'm going to pull up a video of that for you guys who are like, what's a Meadows row? Well, it used to be a single arm T-bar row, but John Meadows did them. So let me just mute the sound here because if you have any music on here, whoa, there we go. That was Big John Meadows. If you have any songs on here, Instagram, excuse me, will have a freak out. So let me move along here to see what Big Johnny is doing. Is okay. So this is a Meadows row. Notice he has straps because he's not a fool. So you can do those sideways, or you can actually do it, with your body parallel. But this is a Meadows row. The good thing about a Meadows row is that you can load it pretty heavy. You could probably get a ton of weight on there. So if you're out of leg room when it comes to a dumbbell row, a Meadows row is your best bet. A lot of guys will be like, well, I don't have a landmine attachment. What do I do? You simply can put it under a dumbbell in the corner. Zabian, thank you. Thank you for joining up. Adi, just wanted to say I love you to the moon and back. Thank you. Unfortunately, yep, it's a curse. I understand. That's how my wife feels. Brips, is gaining more than 2 pounds a month bad? Generally. I mean, generally, it's going to turn into a fat bulk. Here's the thing, like a newbie on paper having the best year of his training ever could only gain about 16 pounds of muscle max. That's first year fresh, haven't gained a pound of muscle. Most people will not gain that much as a noob. As a noob, they would be lucky to gain 10, maybe 12 pounds. So in reality, newbies will gain like 8 to 10, and everyone after that, maybe 4 to 6, maybe 6. So 2 pounds a month is just going to pack on 10, 15, pounds of fat in a year. A little too aggressive. No benefit, really. Occasionally, if it happens, it happens. No big deal, but generally, no benefit. Big Barry A, thanks for your overhead advice, French. Thanks for your overhead advice, man. I appreciate it. You bet. Best performing video topics. Christos wants to know what the best topics are. So let me go over to Massive Iron and show you. Nutrition stuff doesn't do well on my channel. Neither does running stuff. And we will share the old screenerooski. We're doing a lot of screen sharing because I'm back to two screens. So if you sort by most popularity, on my channel, you see natural bodybuilding is a joke. I have no idea why that video took off. Basically, a lot of people that don't know me, on that video. Mike O'Hearn says Brad Castleberry isn't using fake weights. I'm not sure why that took off. Bench press stuff does well. 5 Ugly Truths about bench press strength, 250,000 views. German volume training, that's an old one. You can see that's the old big hairy ugly dude there. How I structure full body workouts. There's really no rhyme and reason why some of these things take off. I'm not a big fan of strong lifts, and that video continues to get hate. Why some will never bench press 315. You can see some bench press stuff and some natural stuff. And then I just have occasionally back in the day, like 6 years ago, I tossed up, this thing, how not to spot a female, it's just silly. But I posted it and that went off. And this one has 120,000 views. It's just crap I posted like 7, 8. That was from 2014. All righty, where are we? Speaking of upper lowers, how many exercises would you say you are ideal for each session? Usually when I do it, 6. And there can be some pieces and parts that are left out. What do I mean? Well, let's say you're doing my type of upper lower with chest, shoulders, and arms. You have 2 exercises each for chest and shoulders, and 2 for 2 for your arms, right? And then you do your legs. It can be hard to squeeze in calves. It can be hard to squeeze in abs. It can be hard to squeeze in traps. So I started at 6. That tends to be optimal for weekly volume. Sorry to be camera shaky. But after that, if you can squeeze in a little bit extra work, and if you need to, you can go right ahead. Mickey, adductor and abductor and adductor machine, is it a waste of time? I don't know. I mean, it can help generally with strengthening. I wouldn't put it as a main focus. A couple sets to keep the area strong isn't going to hurt, but I wouldn't overinvest time in it. Alexander, thoughts on Nordic curls? Number one thought, most people can't do it and will never do it. It's a super tough exercise. So what I typically do is I will have, let me see, I will have people do glute ham raises on a back extension machine. If you have a back extension, this is what I do. It's probably my favorite lift, and I'm going to share a screen. Now, this guy right here, this is a video I share with a lot of people. You got to come up so your torso is perpendicular to the ground. That'll start to incorporate your hammies more. So let's watch where he comes. If you see, that's the position you got to end at. You go down and then you boink up. See, he stops a little bit short. I didn't nail that perfectly, but you have to get upright, and you when you do that, you're incorporating your hamstrings. So Nordic curls, most people will never be able to do them. This is a really good option. Big Bob Fish. If rep cycling week by week, say 3x10 week 1, 3x8, if doing the same movement twice a week, do you do double progression? This is very complicated. Bob, I have look, this type of program, I would have to design myself to make it work. You're doing the same movement twice a week. I'm generally not a fan of that, Bob, unless it's squats. It's not best for hypertrophy generally. So, number one, I wouldn't do that. I generally wouldn't advocate the same movement twice a week. And then when you get in double progression, you're getting super complicated. It sounds a little bit on the overcomplicated side. I made a video about periodization this week, and using the creeping death method or whatever method you want, you could alternate between like 3x10 and 3x6. There's really not a lot of, you could do periodization where you're doing 6, 8s, and 10s. Yeah. But I wouldn't base them on rep ranges. I would base them on percentages. So you're you could move from 3x6 to 3x8 even. You could move by 3x8 to 3x10, 3x10 to 3x12. Yes, you could do that. Double progression, you mean like adding a set if you get to, let's say you start with 3x6 and you work the 3x8 and then you add a 4 set, you could do that. I mean, there's ways to do it. That's a quick and dirty of how I probably do it. Rico, happy Friday. Bought your cookbook. Thank you. When it first came out, and I use all the recipes. I've had the Possessed. What am I rapping? I've had the Possessed Physique and Strength case. I appreciate your support. I don't pimp my cookbook every other sentence like some YouTubers, but it's not a massive book, but it does contain recipes that I use. Abdul, our pyramid sets, no, there's no better in lifting. There's no better in lifting. The word better, like one rep range is not better than another. Pyramiding is not better than straight sets. The best is consistency and getting a lot stronger than you are now. Orion, glad you recommend the slingshot. Way more effective than expected. I'm glad you enjoy it, and it is a great tool for hammering your tricepticons. Harut, during slow bulk, have you ever seen a big difference in increasing fats versus carbs? That can be highly specific. I don't like if you're a higher calorie person, you almost have to have a little bit higher on the fat end of things. If you're a moderate metabolism, person, there's probably got to be a little bit more balance. Somebody that has a very slow metabolism, you might have to run the line a little bit and go down as low as, why does my phone keep blowing up? go as low as like 20% on fats. You really don't want to go lower than that because on fats, you need it for brain health. You need it for organ health, all kinds of things. So I would never go below 20% fats, but a lot of that really is individual. Fats and carbs are going to come down to what your metabolism is and that sort of thing and how you feel. 2 weeks ago, hurt lower back on third set of 315. I didn't brace correctly. Happens, and sorry to hear that. First time squatting again yesterday. How do I ramp up again? Slowly and intuitively. Better to ramp up slow than fast. How did it go? 100% thumbs up, then I would do 155 next time. Can you get more aggressive as you move forward? Yeah, if 155 is super smooth and you want to move up to 185 because you've had 2 super smooth workouts in a row, do it. And then after that, if you want to work up to 225, you could start to get more and more progressively more aggressive, as you as you get more comfortable under the bar. But take your time, make sure that lower back is okay, and join Team Massive. Let me check out your squat form. Do you ever get tired of Daniel's question? Daniel. Daniel's my client, so no, I don't get tired of a question. Daniel is a client, and I would say someone I respect and someone I appreciate the opportunity to help. Bluegill Greg, have you been making any music lately? No, have not. Not much since the pandemic hit. It's been work. Alexander, do you think weighted decline sit-ups are better than hanging leg raises? I don't like the word better. Better doesn't exist on most questions in my world. Both, both. Like, anything with progressive overload, that's okay. Obviously, hanging leg raises, you could progressively overload, by using bands as resistance or a dumbbell between your feet or any kind of shenanigans. But number one, you don't need a lot of direct ab work. And number two, when you're doing progressive overload, you don't need a ton. So you can get it to a kind of a baseline level. It's all personal choice, but I don't really obsess over ab work. Done deal. I'm stuck on 5x5. Should I switch to push-pull legs or 5-3-1? How about you use one of my programs instead of Wendler's 5-3-1? That'd be my suggestion. How about you use a massive iron program? Because you're on the massive iron channel. Toss me a bone here, done deal. Toss me a bone using one of my programs. Head over to superlivingtoday.com. All right, I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to tell you. Nothing wrong with Wendler, but I know a guy named Steve Shaw, massive iron, who's been working his ass off, for like 15, 20 years. And over at his website, superlivingtoday.com, there's a tab called workouts. And if you click on all workouts, you get this magic, wonderful land of workouts that includes massive double progression, torso limb split, push-pull arms, legs, HVI training, 28-day power building cycle, AB split, posterior and upper, massive crap workout, 16-week bench program, 5x5, barbell and body weight, on and on and on and on and on. So, done deal. Throw me a bone. Check out my programs. Big Joe Boxer, VersaGrip Pros and never look back, 100%. Mike, I haven't heard much on rest time between exercises. 3 to 4 minutes, reasonable. Between compounds, yeah. I mean, you want to keep it kind of natural and intuitive. The research doesn't favor things one way or the other. So I would rather I would rather have you keep it more tight than more loose, because I don't want you living in the gym more than 75 minutes. But, especially on your big compound movements, bench, dead, squats, Wait until you feel mentally and physically ready to go again. That can vary between sets. But after that, when you're doing the other stuff, keep it moving, keep it moving. Don't live in the gym. Soy sauce, banana, preferred pasta. Man, I'm not a pasta eater at all. Not at all. If I'm going to have anything that's noodles, it's going to be ramen noodles, just ramen. Occasionally I'll have spaghetti with, seafood or meatballs, but I really don't like pasta at all. I've done banza pasta, which is chickpea pasta. That's all right, but I'm completely off processed food as much as possible. Scruffy like a boss. I've exclusively trained at RPE 8.5 or 9 on bench for like 5 months, and I always get sore. Should I switch? No reason to switch. If your recovery is going well and things are going well, stay at it. If you lower the RPE, how are you going to know when to progress? At least do one set per exercise where you're pushing it to the limit. Adding on every other session, I fail. That's fine, especially on bench. And I appreciate your support of live. I really do. Yo, why is my question not getting posted on here? That's YouTube. One thing I tell folks at the beginning of every YouTube is funny like that. There are channels I can't post on. Why? I have no idea. It could be your word use, could be YouTube doesn't like you. And YouTube is just flat out sometimes just a crap platform. This happens to a lot of people every live. So it's not me. I'm not ignoring you. That's one reason why I tell folks to head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman, and post. If you're not getting through, slide your question in via DM and I'll answer it. All right, let's get back on the road here. Favorite lift for lower pecs. I don't really worry about lower pecs much. Lower pecs, the mid pec, lower pec region are kind of hit with bench and dumbbell bench. And, then if you want, I like sliding in some incline work and some overhead pressing. Best angle for dumbbell press. Not really a best. As long as you're doing a flatter incline, you're fine. Declines tend to be more tricep centric, which is fine if you're tricep weak. Just know it's going to be a little bit chest. It's not going to hit your chest as much. All righty. Would you count wide grip pull-ups as a full set for biceps? No. Wide grip pull-ups are more of a lat exercise with biceps secondary. H. Kimball. Late check-in from the ATL. I got a little crazy with the safety squat bar. My knee has been swollen for the past 2 weeks. Anderson squats better for people with knee pain. It's hard to say. It's hard to make a sweeping comment. I'm trying to find an Anderson squat video because folks don't know what an Anderson squat is. Most folks don't. So this is an Anderson squat. I would say the Anderson squat for people with knee pain, probably generally not the best idea, because the Anderson squat, you really got to be disciplined and you're going to feel some wobble at the top because when you start at the top on a regular squat, the bar is naturally settles in where it wants to settle in. On an Anderson squat, there's going to be a little bit of wobble because it's not going to be in a natural leverage position. It's going to seek it. So that could place a little bit more stress on the knees. Bluegill Greg, Versa grips can be surprisingly helpful for chin-ups and pull-ups. Yes. And you want your back and you want your lifts to shine, not to be relying on your grip. Big Bob Fish, cheers, dude. Probably going to save the overcomplication and just buy one of your programs. I would appreciate that. And if you want some help, come on over to Team Massive. I can help you out. Fade down. Faz recently said if you do 4 sets of 8, 8, 8, 6, then only the last 1 or 2 sets were hard and only they count as working sets. Well, tell that to Dorian Yates. Faz and I just discussed this personally. And I think you're missing what Faz is saying. Um, it depends on what you call a working set. Pre-fatigue. um, you know, Pre-fatigue work for Dorian. So I guess it depends on how much of a semantics debate you want to get in. I don't get into semantics debates. Hard work is hard work. And at the end of the day, no matter how you structure a program, the end goal is hard work and how hard you work the client. So if you're trying to pit me in against Faz, please don't. Faz and I discussed this on, uh, WhatsApp, and basically all of our workouts are going to have my workouts have for my clients at least 50% of sets that are pushed to the limit. Now, if you don't want to count the ones that aren't, I don't care, but it's still a damn hard workout, and it's going to be equally hard to anything Fast puts out, and that's not a ball comparison competition. It's just simple reality. Coaches know how to program, and not everybody can do every set to the limit, nor do I feel it's wise. So whether you want to count a set or you don't want to count a set, or whether you don't want to count it as pre-fatigue, then how many sets did Dorian do? I don't know. Who cares? You know? And I'm not being hard on you, Fadam. I'm just saying I don't like semantics debates. How many sets is it? Well, it depends on Faz's definition, I suppose. Bob V, are weightlifting shoes a waste of money? They can be. First and foremost, you want to try to get your squat down pat, and figure out, if it's flat soled, how you do with flat soles or with a little bit of a heel without spending money on a squat shoe. And if you find you squat better with a little bit of a heel, then maybe I would consider a squat shoe because they're better. They're better made for squatting and not just general purpose, if that makes sense. Done deal. LOL. We'll check it out. No problem at all. Look, I'm just busting your balls. One of the funny things about coaching is somebody will come over and say, I'm going to try, hey, Massive Iron, Steve Shaw, I'm going to try a program by this guy or that guy. What do you think? I'm like, I think use my program. That's what I think. I'm just being honest. My mom thinks so as well. Blue Girl Greg, any advice on VersaGrips for chin-ups? Use them. That's all I can say. Usually you might need a block, to get your body in position. I would definitely use them. Like a true chin-up, it's going to be harder to get them into position, for a chin-up. So, if you find it's hard to get in position, there's not much you can do on a VersaGrip. Neutral grip is a good choice, but I do underhand lat pull downs for biceps. I can't get VersaGrips locked in either. I can get one in, but then the other one's on its own, right? So unless you have a spotter, it's going to be a little tough. Eric, hello from Indiana. Work done for today. Time to get to work. Yeah, that's me. When I'm done with this, I'm going to get on to client work. Whoops, skipped one. Bluegill Greg, I find that they're helpful in later sets, but if aligned wrong can be annoying. Yeah, it's true. I don't doubt that at all. Done deal. We'll purchase one today. Pretty new to lifting. If you want some help, done deal, with just hit me up on Instagram. Or if you sign up for Team Massive, right? I'll send you all the programs you want so you can check them out and then decide. And then you get my help. Chris, thought on weighted dips for chesticles. I like weighted dips, and when I can, I put those in my programs for most of my clients. We still do dumbbell and barbell exercises. What I like to do a lot is do dips and push-up supersets. But on the push-ups, you got to be nice and controlled. H. Kimball. Okay, thanks. Just trying to find ways to stress my knees less at the bottom. Yeah, I hope I made sense. Like that instability you get on an Anderson squat could transfer down to the hips and then to the knees. So that's my main concern. Ian, lunges 100s always body weight. Doesn't have to be. Most people struggle to get to 100s with body weight. So if you're getting rather proficient at them, then you can start to hold like a 10-pound plate or a 25-pound plate or even a 45-pound plate. Once you get to that point where you can knock out hundreds, right, with a 45, then you got some thinking to do. I don't like holding dumbbells at my side because they'll sway forward, and I don't like that extra pressure they might put on the knees, if that makes sense. So at that point, you got to consider maybe going down in reps or holding a heavier dumbbell against your chest, or even moving up to a barbell, or what's easier is a safety squat bar and doing lunges. Alexander, would be doing 5 by 10 on bench once a week produce maximum? No, like you're looking for a magic way, Alexander, and there is no magic way. You're looking for a magic path. Everything's efficient and effective if done for progressive overload. Just don't rely on limited exercises in the long run. In short periods of time, it's okay to rely on a lot of volume, for one exercise, but don't do that in the long run. All right, guys, I got one question comment left. This is last call. I'm going to be hopping off last call. So post it up now while I'm reading this. Eric, I saw Faz's video. I took it as it was fine. If it's absolutely fine if it's part of your program. What people are getting into is like, if you do last set max reps, right? What people are getting into is semantics debates. Like, if Faz doesn't call it a working set, that's fine. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's pre-fatigue, but that doesn't mean you're not working hard. So people are trying to equate a semantics debate, over what's considered a working set. They're taking that and saying it is or isn't effective. That's not true at all. Faz and I have had this discussion. It's just two different ways of programming. At the end of the day, hard work is about, did you leave it all in the gym? My clients do 50% of their sets to max safe reps, whether I tell them or not. That's what the average client's doing, at least. And that's a hard ass session. And I mentioned to Faz, you want a hard workout. Check out the workout I give to some of my clients. Well, they do a 10-minute rest pause session on deadlifts, or they start out with 3 deadlift sessions for max safe reps, and then they do rest pause work on leg press, bulldozer style. That's hard work. Whatever you call it, getting results is all about hard work. So semantics discussions aside, what is a set, what isn't a set? Quite honestly, I don't give a shit what anybody's semantics debate is. I'm about having people work hard, and Faz would agree that my people work hard, and I would agree that Faz's people work hard. What you consider a set, I don't really give a flying shit. 3 days grace. Thanks for your live. Thank you. Arut, thanks, and have a great weekend. You too. And last call, give me a couple of tequila shots and 4 beers. I like where this guy is going. All right, guys, that's it for Massive Iron Live. Get your ass here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. I appreciate your support. If you didn't get in your question, head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman. At Ben the Barman, slide into my DM. And head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. Get you a t-shirt for $13.99. Represent, get you a flag, get you a workout. Join Team Massive, join coaching. I got a couple coaching slots open. Come join it. And what do we got here? How to grow lagging rear delts. Get your dumbbell and barbell rows and T-bar rows as strong as humanly possible. All right, guys, that's it for Massive Iron Live, and we are out of here.